Us. How you doing? Thanks for tuning in. Can you see me? Can you see us? Anyone watching? Analog Attack back again with episode 5 of What Are You Listening To? And we've been working hard all through the week to bring you our new theme tune. And so sit back, relax, open a beer, and enjoy the sounds of the synthesizer playing the What Are You Listening To theme tune. Take it away, Dr. Larson.
Oh, yes.
Sing along at home if you know the words. Lovely stuff, lovely stuff. How long was this song? Like Stairway to Heaven kind of length?
About 26 minutes.
Perfect.
Oh, first time hearing this bit.
Oh, wow.
There we go. Thanks, Pete. Wonderful.
Yep.
Wonderful stuff. Thanks a lot. So, welcome, everybody. I'll introduce today's guests. Jim Martin's back. Second time on the show. On this show, third time on my channel in total. How you doing, Jim?
It won't hurt as much this time.
It's good and easy, right? Dr. Pete Larson. First time on this show. Fourth time on the channel, I think. Third or fourth time.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe
And Jordan,
third or fourth,
Jordan Atkins, all the way from Chicago, first time ever.
Analog version.
So everyone knows the drill by now. We've each picked out 5 records we've been listening to throughout the week. So we're going to go around, show them, have a little chat about them. Oh, Pete, it's a secret. It's a secret. Pete might give us a little bit of sound effects, maybe, as we go through. As we go through the episode. So what we'll do one each. So we'll start off, we'll go do our first pick, second pick, third pick, fourth pick, fifth pick. We'll go around like that. And let's do it like this. So we'll start off with Pete, Jordan, Jim, and then me. And then we'll go back around. All right?
Okay.
All right.
All right. So everyone sit back and let's enjoy some great records. So Pete, what you got for us today? First pick of the day.
First one on my stack is, I guess I should take it out of the thing because it's all shiny. William Parker, Mayan Space Station.
Oh.
Kicks ass. Absolutely fantastic record. Ava Mendoza plays this ripping, like Greg Ginn-esque, if he was a decent human being, like shredding, thick guitar. And like William Parker's bass playing is always like amazing. So jazz, like punk, metal, like drone, freak out music, highly recommended.
That came out last year, right, Pete? Or the year before, 2020?
It came out last year, but it is returned to my turntable like several different points. So yeah, this is.
I bought that too. I've got that. It's a great record.
Ava Mendoza's like her guitar playing is just amazing. I think, like, really next level. Like,
yeah, definitely got that like Greg Ginn thing going on, like you said.
Yep.
Yeah.
But she's a decent human being, unlike Greg Ginn.
Yeah. It's a plus.
Yeah, he's not watching.
It
That's
helps.
a great first pick.
Thank God.
Anyone familiar with that record? You know that?
I don't know anything about it.
I'm not. I mean, it sounds intriguing.
Oh, it's killer. It's just like one of the heaviest records, one of the heaviest like sort of jazz rock records I can think of. Like,
Wow.
It's not. I can't even call it a jazz record. Like, it's not really like that. It's like a lot heavier than that than a typical jazz record would be. I don't know. I recommend it.
Yeah.
The cover's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, well, that's got me
It looks
drawn
like a
in.
psych record or something.
Yeah, it's got a psych vibe to it.
Yeah.
I see clips or a Mayan pyramid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm there.
I've been there. It's great. It's a good time.
Really?
I mean, I've been to that record, you know.
Oh, I thought you meant you've been like this to this pyramid. I was like, really? Wow. I didn't know that, Mike.
That's a great first pick. Cheers, Pete. All right,
Cool.
Jordan, what you got for us, man? First pick.
All right. Well, I got kind of a classic band, but maybe not considered people's classic record of this band. So I've been listening a lot to this record. And I will admit, I heard this record came out in 1982, which, I mean, if you think about UK 82, this is a lot different than what people think of UK 82. I mean, this is pretty much a pop record.
Yeah.
I first heard this 20 years ago, and I hated it. I was really into the late 70s, early stuff from The Damned. And this isn't a punk record, really. So, I mean, they're punks, but the first song is a punk song. And that was like, I just considered this like a one song record, basically, when I first heard it. But now, in my 40s, this got reissued. I think it was a record store day thing that came out maybe a year or two ago. So on a whim, I was like, you know what? I need to go revisit this. I mean, the cover is just absolutely ridiculous, like with the pig and the strawberry on it. I'm like, this, I got to check this out again. And this is a great record, an absolutely fabulous pop record. It kind of reminds me of like kind of what the 60s, late 60s Kinks were doing a little bit. And there's a little bit of like a rock opera kind of thing going on too with it. I mean, there's a cello on it. Obviously, there's like piano, there's a saxophone, a sitar on it, but it's not experimental at all. It's all straight pop songs pretty much. And with great hooks, great harmonies. I just love this record. And then there's like, it's kind of campy and a little bit too, like Dozen Girls. I don't know if you guys know that song.
Yeah.
It's like some character, like, basically being jealous of a guy that gets all the girls. I mean, it sounds like it could be like a Grease song or something. I mean, not musically, but like the lyrical message of it. But just the whole thing. It's not really gothy. I mean, I guess there's a couple of songs that. I mean, what song? Maybe The Dog might be a little bit gothy, but not much really. But it's just absolutely fantastic record, and every song it has multiple harmonies. It's very complex. It's a little bit overproduced, I would say, even for 82, which it works for this record. But
yeah.
I would think that like a lot of punks that were like into The Damned were like listening to that record and thought didn't like it. That's what I would say. I mean, I did a little research on it, and they said that the reason why they named it Strawberries and put the pig on the cover was that they were given a lot of shit at the time, I guess, with critics and like older fans for not playing more punk kind of stuff, like Machine Gun Etiquette or like Neat stuff, And so they said it was like feeding pigs strawberries, their music now. And then they cut it down to just being Strawberries. And I mean, look at that fucking cover. I can't stop showing it because it's so.
Hey, the original pressing, it was a scratch and sniff. You would get the strawberry.
Yeah, I did. That's awesome. I kind of wish this did. I will admit, I did scratch it to check. And it doesn't smell like a strawberry. But cute pig, though. Cute.
That has been my favorite Damned record for about the last 10 to 15 years. It's just perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, Machine Gun Etiquette is probably my favorite record by them, but this might be number 2. And I mean, since I got it, I probably listen to it once a week. And it's so good.
It is
so good.
Classic, absolute classic, yeah.
Nice.
But I mean, listening to music for so many years, there's always those ones you go back to, like, how the hell did I miss this? I saw it at a certain point and I went by it, and then it could be 2 or 3 decades later, you're like, as what you did right there, and you're like, it knocked you over the head. It's like you missed it so many years ago.
And
you don't know
makes
why.
It's the one great
And
thing about this group is there's a lot of records that I haven't really given. I just wouldn't have given that much of a time of the day because I listened to it a long time ago and I was like, it's just not a punk. And I was into like more hardcore in my 20s, you know. So like this just seemed absurd to me. You know, like what are they doing? They're trying to like break it big, which is actually not really what they were doing. As a matter of fact, I think Captain Sensible quit the band after this record.
Yeah.
So it kind of seemed more like they were kind of giving an FU to like people that didn't like their sound is what it kind of sounded like to me the more I read about it. But yeah, great record. Recommend it.
Fuck off. You know, that kind of attitude.
Yeah.
Pete, you were going to say something? Put something up.
I just love going back to like, you know, bands, you know, like the Damned or whatever, and you find this gem that you sort of overlooked, and like it makes you realize why you love the band to begin with. You know, it's like, you know, just sort of you're like, oh wow, you know, like they were like way ahead of what I understood at the time. Like
100%. It's kind of like the Stooges or something like that. Like, you know, 10 years later, people like just, it's amazing. It's like before its time almost, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I would think like I said, like in 82 in the UK, like that people must have just been like, what the hell is going on?
It was too advanced that people just didn't really get it, I think, at the time. But I think on
their fifth record too.
I know. I think a lot of their like 60s influences, which were always there, really come out on this
always.
Record. The early Pink Floyd, like UK, like psychedelic pop stuff influences really come out on that record.
Really do, yeah. And they nail it too.
Yeah. Great record. Nice pick. All right, Jim, what you got for us, mate?
What do I have for you?
Before we start, Jim, I've just got to say that Brian from Drop Dead is watching in right now.
Wow.
All right.
Nice.
Brian, how you doing?
Buddy. I know Brian forever. I've just seen him recently. Played a show with his other band. We had a great time. This, I first heard this band on their LP that came out, I want to say about a year ago, Bootlicker. I just got this week. I just got the glare off it, so if I'm moving it around. But this is their first like 4 EPs, which you know I didn't have, and I said, well, you know, perfect time to get this. But you can hear their progression on this band. Like I don't know too much about this band. I know they're a Vancouver band, but it starts off the first EP starts off with some. You know, it sounds like, you know, like Discharge Worship a bit, and it's like, but then but the last tracks on the first 2 EPs are like sick fucking like hardcore jams that are not like Discharge clone-y kind of thing. So it's kind of an evolution. You know, you can hear the evolution. This demonstrates their evolution, and it's a band I've never seen live. A band I would love to see live. They just never crossed paths with them. But by the end of it, the second side, it's just holy shit, man! I now want to look up these EPs, and just sheer power. You know, like I said, you know, you could hear him start like, oh yeah, we like Discharge, we're gonna play DB and blah blah blah, but then just totally face punching hardcore on some of these tracks, like it's incredible. So I just got this week. It just came in the mail this week. So I've been listening to this all week and wherever I'm going, and I'm like, wow. But just listening straight through, totally demonstrated the evolution. So and it makes me appreciate the LP that came out even better. So even more rather. But you know, as far as like newer era bands, this is really good stuff. This is powerful stuff.
That's cool. I was curious about that record.
Yeah, me too. I saw the LP in the shop yesterday on the way home. I didn't buy it, but I think Jim was he sold it to me.
Yeah, please do. Please give it a little dabble.
I mean, speaking of dismissing stuff for silly reasons, I also kind of dismiss this band a little bit because the whole bootlicker S&M theme that's been going on in hardcore, like kind of a lot with imagery. And I first saw their EPs, I was just like, it's just not one of those bands with the boot licking and, you know, the name. I was just like, guys, give me this, you know, I don't know.
But what does it
But
mean?
I actually like it. I have one of the records, and I thought it was really good. I just kind of ignored it,
But I checked it out. Plus, like the LP, their LP has like like you said, if you're going by art and you didn't know about the band, you'd be like, "What is this?" But man, it's pretty masterful.
Yeah.
Like, but on this, you could not seeing them, not knowing them. They're from the West Coast. I'm from the East Coast. I just haven't ever crossed paths with them. But like I was like, all right, this is kind of generic. This is kind of generic, and then all of a sudden.
boom.
It's like, this is. I was like, all right, we're here.
Awesome.
Nice. All right,
You're
that's going on the
cool,
list. Going on the list for sure. The never-ending list. My turn. Okay, so before I get down to my first pick proper, I've got to show this because just the other day we lost. We lost Jet Black from the Stranglers.
Mm-hmm.
This is my favorite Stranglers record. In fact,
That's a great
Good
record.
one.
Yeah, you know what? It's not. It doesn't sound like Strawberries, but it's kind of almost like their equivalent to Strawberries in a way. They kind of shut
For
off.
sure.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
people are really surprised, like, because he was 84 years old. When he
I didn't
passed
realize
away.
he was that old.
Wow.
Well, that's the thing. People didn't, but I mean, they were.
That is 80.
Well, you know what? Everyone said that. It's like he was like older than my dad, like 84.
Yeah.
But they were old when they started, like back in 76, 77. They were already older. So it's not. So rest in peace to Jet Black. Stranglers,
Yes.
one of the all-time great bands. Man, last week I had to deal with Nick Turner, who passed away.
Yeah.
So our favorite
They're
musicians.
dropping now.
Yeah.
This medium is getting older.
Every day.
Then it's our turn.
Hey, Jim, and everyone watching, I just want to say Pete is actually a real doctor, so I think we're in safe hands tonight.
I don't know about that.
Nobody's going to die on his watch, that's for sure.
Hey, when my heart pops, stick me in the chest.
Except for him with hypothermia.
All right, so I'm going to go into my first pick proper. Everyone's in the mood for some Russian party grind, right? That's what you came for. That's what you're going to get. Siberian meat
Boys
grinder.
on the front line.
Whoa.
Check this out.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's funny. Brian's watching, so I bought this because I saw that they're going on tour with Drop Dead and Napalm Death in Europe in February, and I just bought it purely on that. I was like, okay, I'll check this band out. It's an interesting band. Like, it's a modern band, huge production, real like modern day production. I called it Russian party grind. That was my kind of off the cuff description of it. But they call themselves thrash metal punk juggernaut from the depths of Siberian hell, powered by graffiti. So into graffiti, there's a little bit of rapping and stuff going on as well. So beware of that. And then skateboarding and barbaric mush. So it's a real modern record, very well produced. But yeah, they're into graffiti and to skateboarding, and their whole thing is based around this cult that they've invented called the Bear Cult. That's their thing, and every song is based around this like cult that they've invented.
Go Bears!
There you go. And I mean, Mother Bear, the Bear Cult is real. And there's even like the wizard bear pops up and the priest bear, and like, yeah. So all the songs are about, and the metal bear. It's all about this weird cult that they've invented.
Nice.
And yeah, they had like Sean Taggart cover art on their last record. Agnostic Front, Crumbsuckers artist.
Yeah.
Interesting band. And I was talking to Barney the other day, and he said they come in for a lot of trouble being in Russia and with their politics and stuff. They've had a pretty hard time of it.
Well, it's even harder now.
But they're always in kind of with the bear masks and stuff. It's kind of like a grindcore version of kind of Municipal Waste, I want to say.
Wow.
It's a real good time, super produced.
Yeah, the party element.
Yeah, but really great band. So
that artwork is awesome.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, this
I-
isn't Sean Taggart, but the second LP I think was done by.
just show the back of it.
Oh yeah, you can actually see that's the live shot. They're in their kind of
Oh, wow.
their
Yeah.
costumes.
It's awesome. It's like Soldier Field.
Wow. Who released that? Was it released from Russia?
That is a great question, Jim, because this also really surprised me. When I looked on the back, it was actually put out by Destiny Records. Now, does anybody remember Destiny Records? They're a German label who were putting out a lot of the German hardcore in the 80s, and they put out MDC and stuff in the 80s. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Destiny Records.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, somebody heard it.
They're still going.
I'll put some money on them.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's for everyone. As I say, I keep saying it's very new, huge production. Like there's even a little bit of ska in there, but it just comes in, comes out, and I mean, I like it. So there you go. Siberian Meat Grinder. It's my first choice of the day. Oh,
Nice.
by the way, if anyone is smart enough and can see this, there's the download code. There you go. Giving away prizes now on the show. Giving away prizes. There you go.
Episode number 5.
Not even try.
All right.
There you go. All right, Pete, what's your second choice, mate? What's your second choice?
Oh, you know, like there's like those records that you always wish you had, could get, but you can't, and then a reissue happens, and like you're like, thank God somebody did it. This is Alice Coltrane's Ptah, the Al Daoud, her follow-up to Journey to Satchidana. And it's a brilliant, wonderful, fantastic record. And Third Man Pressing in Detroit did a really nice reissue of it recently with the gatefold and actual like decent press. There's been bootleg versions of it like over the past like couple decades. Yeah, it's really cool.
To look at it, it's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Yeah, it looks really great.
Yeah. Well, your other pick was
not
beautiful.
as good as this, but it's pretty good.
Yeah. that's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alice Coltrane, Farrah Sanders, Joe Henderson, Ron Carter, Ben Riley. Like, this is just a brilliant, fantastic record.
Notes.
There you go.
That's a record that will bring you to tears. It's like so powerful in that kind of spiritual jazz way. It's absolutely beautiful.
Absolutely. A friend of mine, Dave, runs this jazz club here in town, and Cecil McBee was in town playing with a group there, and he had played on Alice Coltrane's first record.
Yeah.
And he was telling Dave about when she would have these Sunday afternoon jams at her house and just invite people over to like, play music and eat food. And like, I just sort of like listening to this record, sort of imagine like that going on, right? Like
Wow.
Alice Coltrane's house and people eating food and hanging out and playing like, really, emotionally and spiritually moving music. Like,
Wow.
Yeah.
What a cool.
I mean, I would say even if you kind of don't, if you think you don't like jazz, you should check that record out.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, I'm much more a fan of jazz adjacent things than straight up jazz, if you know what I mean. And this is one of this like, and Mayan Space Station is like the kind of records you can really play for like anybody, especially people like into like heavy music, like kind of translates well, I think.
Cool.
So anyway, that's mine.
That's great. Man, I love doing this. It's so much fun. You always get these like great like, different choices from everyone's fantastic. That's a great record. All right, Jordan, what's your second pick?
All right. I'm going to do a newer band. I just got Innocent.
Wow.
So this is Innocent Architects of Despair. It just came out a couple weeks ago. Kind of like that bootlicker record just kind of came out. Boston band. It's on Side 2 Records. Honestly, I buy almost everything that comes off on Side 2. Ryan Abbott runs the label. I've known him for a really long time, but he's an absolutely phenomenal drummer. He's been in so many great bands. Bands also that have like a lot of different sounds to them too, from like Bloody Gears to like Aggression Pack. He's been in a lot of really good bands. This is his label, and he drums in this band. And this band is kind of it's DBD, but it sounds a little bit more like Sacrilege, early Sacrilege.
Oh,
Ooh.
Not as metal, so not like crazy guitar solos. But a female vocalist, and I will admit, when I first put it on, it had this, kind of buzz sound, like feedback. And then the drums and guitar came in, and I was like, oh, I was expecting like this, like belching, vocal to come at me, and instead it was like a high pitched shout with kind of like a echo effect on the vocal, which is kind of common a bit now, sometimes a little overused, and it kind of threw me off a little bit for a song or two. But by the third song, I was hooked. It totally worked. It just kind of threw me off for a minute because I was expecting something different. But it's phenomenal. It's great. It's DBD, but it's not just overabundance. There's a lot of tom work. It's heavy. It's aggressive. Her vocal is awesome. You get used to it. Or at least I got used to it. And then by the second side, I was totally into it. I actually kind of like the second side more than the first side on side 2 records. I don't know. Maybe a coincidence. I don't know. But really good record. I guess they did 2 demos before they recorded this. I didn't hear that. I didn't really pay attention or know. Don't buy tapes a lot. And this record was recorded in 2018, but just came out. So it came out before they recorded it before the pandemic. And I think Ryan recorded it as well. So they recorded it, and then it just came out, and then they played a show recently in Boston, which I heard a lot of good stuff. It also shares, let me see what the band is. Lifeless Dark. They share 2 members, Ryan and
Chris Corey is in Lifeless Dark, right?
Yes, he is. And I don't know which one. I think maybe the singer is also in this band. I don't know.
Well,
but it's a woman and Ryan.
Sacrilege comparison makes total sense.
I was going to bring up Boston. Lifeless Dark is like in the Sacrilege area. And really good.
So this band might sound very similar to that. But also I'm interested to hear that. I don't think they have a record out yet, but I'm very interested in that because they played a show very recently in Boston that my friend went to, and he was raving about both of these bands live. So just cool to get a new record. It comes with this awesome poster that Willow from Flower did, and it's pretty awesome. And it's like its biggest, and the other side's a lyric sheet. It's like it's huge, like 24 inches or something. It's the biggest lyric sheet I've ever seen. But the poster is great. It's really looks cool. Kind of has some cool almost.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah,
sick art.
It's very crusty looking, and it kind of has a crusty sound to it, I might add. So Innocent. Side 2 records. Go pick it up. It's in distros. It just started popping into distros just recently, like the last 2 weeks.
It's just made it over here, and I've sort of seen it. Was thinking about it, but that Sacrilege comparison is.
Yeah, it's worth checking out.
Yeah.
I think you'll like it.
Nice. All right, thanks, Jordan. Jim, what you got next for us, man?
All right, I'm gonna slip back from new stuff. I have some other newer stuff, but this is my older pick. Yeah. Tex.
Oh,
nice. Wow.
Now, this is like the girl cousin of the Gun Club. Like
wow.
Yep.
Southwest, early 80s, what they used to call cow punk or bands. Even Wall of Voodoo fell into that era.
Mm-hmm.
Big Stan Ridgway. I love Stan Ridgway. But this, I didn't back in the 80s. A story. Well, I'm going that way. But when this was back in the 80s, hanging out with all the punks and skids in Tompkins Square Park in the Lower East Side, I remember these guys showed up, and they totally didn't look like they were from New York City, and it was Tex and the Horseheads, and they wanted to. They just came into New York City to play a gig, and I remember hanging out with them, and and smoking and drinking with them because they had nothing to do before their sound check and they didn't know anybody. So they just like walked around, ran into punks and said, let's party. And they got us all on the show later. And I was like, wow, what a really good band. But Tex was out there. And I don't know if she's still alive. I think she is. And I think they're still doing gigs now. They just reformed or something. But you know, it seemed back then that she wasn't long for the world. but this is a quality album. There's some
great record.
Good tunes on this record. I really like Slow Train on this record. But I also saw the Gun Club back in the day, so this is totally akin to that. And the artwork on this, if you didn't know, here's a trivia thing. Oh wait, I'm going this way. Mark Rude, who also did Misfits Earth AD cover and Battalion of Saints Second Coming cover. And this is Mark Rude, and it's just all crazy. You know, it's like totally 80s greatness. And a band that just, you know, they had a couple records, but this is the first one. I think it's really, really good. It's a go-to. And for some reason this week, this kept coming up, and I was listening to it a lot. A local friend of mine here who's on what are you listening to? Same thing. I saw him. He put it up. He's like, "Oh yeah, it's my girlfriend's copy." Blah blah blah. My friend Dave. But hi Dave. But yeah, I would pull this out anytime, and it's a really good early 80s. It's kind of polished, but you know, bluesy. You know, just Southwest punk of that time.
I saw them.
Yeah, Pete, you look really excited when Jim held up that record. You were like, "Oh, wow!"
Yeah, I saw they came through Mississippi, like, you know, and there was a club in a like a basically a double wide trailer, and they played there for like you know 3 people, of which I was one, and
all right,
I was like 14 or whatever, but they were just fucking great. I mean, and really awesome people, like.
Yeah, no, they were like just crossing paths with them, like, you know, like it was the height of, you know, or the early days of New York hardcore when I ran into it, but they were totally cool and down to earth. They weren't fronting. Hey guys, can we hang out with you? Hey, you know where we get some weed? You know, it's like sure.
I remember getting that on when I in the tape trading days, and kind of getting that album on like a tape with like other sort of hardcore stuff. I did not get it at all back then, but I think now that would be a record that I would really be totally into. Now.
That's what Jordan was talking about earlier. It's like I passed this at a time when I was into something else, and I came back and it hit me over the head. Like, what an idiot I was. This is really great stuff, you know. But I always like that, and this week for some reason it just kept coming up, you know. So I fell into that one.
That is a great segue into my next pick. Exactly the same thing happened. Pete, a little bit of music, please.
You hung out in Times Square Park? You met Tex and the Horseheads?
Spice it up. Spice it up, Petey boy.
Thank you. So, easy now, easy. Bristol, big punk town, right? Hardcore punk, Chaos UK, Disorder, who else? Celtic Disorder, I don't know, Amoebics. But what was going on in Bristol in 1990? Like Chaos UK was still around. They just put out, oh Jesus Christ, Chipping Sobry. Bonfire tapes come out like at the end of '89, I think.
Screamer.
There you go, Jim. Screamer with the big Bristol band. Right, Staff's not watching, but there you go. So this is a band that I did not like at all at that time, and they used to play tonight. So they used to kind of play some of the hardcore punk gigs, and the vocalist was actually involved in the collective they had in Bristol that put on all the American bands like Scream, and they did that SYT radio, Savage Yet Tender radio. Anyway, this band I'm talking about is the Sears.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Oh okay.
Psych Out. This is kind of a Stooges thing going on, right? This came out on Cherry Red Records in 1990, but they were just around at the wrong time. They were doing like this kind of 60s like psychedelic pop, but it was also kind of mixed in with some of like the like British pop punk, like Snuff, Mega City 4 and Senseless Things. And just wasn't, I don't know, they're really commercial sounding. It's kind of reminds me of that Damned record in a way, where every song has a great hook, like great melodies, really well produced, great vocalist. They could have been, I think they wanted to be kind of big. They were aiming big. They never really got big. They put 2 records out. This is the first one. It's really, really good. But yeah, this is like a Tony Pence kind of record, I would say. It's like Tony Pence. He's really into this like UK like pop punk, but it's not pop punk. It's got like a little bit of a harder edge, but it's super melodic. And it sounds a little bit like the Doughboys in places, like the Canadian Doughboys. Yeah, it's got those melodies in there, but it also, they were kind of aiming bigger. So it's kind of also got that little bit kind of like Wonder stuff, that kind of pop thing going on, but it's mixed in with the 60s stuff and the Stooges and the UK pop punk, but they also had a really aggressive live show and they were punk rockers who were in the Bristol punk scene. So it kind of makes for a really kind of interesting mix. It's a really, really, really good record. Really catchy, super upbeat. Every song's great.
Yeah. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's kind of, as I said, I used to go and see him and I wasn't into it at all, man. When I came across it like about a month ago in a store here, and I was like, oh man, Jesus, the Sears, you know.
Yeah, but did they have earlier stuff though? Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they have like earlier output that would be considered like back in the peace punk kind of days?
Their members come from 2 other bands, which I can't remember their names off the top of my head. But this band did come out of like more of that kind of scene, I think, yes. But really interesting. They were just doing something like nobody was really doing at the time, and they didn't fit in anywhere. They were like not punk enough to be in the punk scene. They weren't commercial enough to be in the Ned's Atomic Dustbin, Jesus Jones kind of thing. But they were kind of halfway in between that. You know what I mean? But really, really good band. This is a great record. They have another record called Peace Crazies. It's their second album. This is the one to get them. That's the Sears and Psycho. This is the Stooges font, right?
That is, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Again, nobody cared about the Stooges in England in 1990. Probably nobody even knew what this was. Nobody. No.
What record label put it out?
Cherry Red.
Oh, that's right. You said that. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. That's my second pick. Bristol, 1990. The Sears. There you go. All right, Pete.
So I really like it. Like when bands do something that sort of defies like what people know them for, and like you realize that like, well, they were like sort of more like a deeper band than what you thought, and this has been on my turntable sort of constantly lately. Blood Incantation, Timewave 0, which I think there's a CD version, triple CD version that looks longer. The logo is like completely legible, obviously.
But the art is pretty cool. That's your third
art is amazing.
Art on it.
Yeah. We're all showing some good artwork.
All of the records art is
sick art.
Phenomenal.
It's like I mean, Blood Incantation, they're like sort of this technical metal band from Denver.
Yeah.
But this is like full on like Tangerine Dream, like synthesizer psych music.
Yeah.
Like there's no drums anywhere on this record. Like, it's just them zoning out, like, on Moogs in their basement or whatever. And it's absolutely fantastic. Like, like I put this on and, like fall to sleep to it and sort of, go into like other worlds or something.
They're one of those bands that their artwork is so good I want to buy their records. Like, I'm not really into that style of music. Well, I guess all the records are kind of different, but
they're all kind of different. Yeah,
the one that has the alien with like the worlds and all that. That cover art is so amazing. I'm just like, I want to own it just for that. No, but that's awesome. But that sounds like that sounds a lot different than the last record.
It's like Klaus Schultz, like.
It's like this. It sounds like this.
Yeah.
Like,
no, you're impressing me with your your most artistic picks.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, the art direction on every
know-
release you've shown is just a home run.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. You and your fancy microphone and your.
No, well, I mean, I'm an artist, so
Yes.
the visual aspect
Nice.
Yeah.
is special to me too.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
Yeah.
You should. Have you seen the artwork to other records, Jim? Because the other artwork is pretty awesome too.
no, I'm gonna look it up.
Check it out.
Yeah, I'm writing things down. I know I could look at this later, but writing it down commits it to my memory.
Yeah. I mean, basically, they're a death metal band, and then they just released this record, which is totally Tangerine Dream, Klaus Schultz soundtrack.
And they've got like a series of what they call ambient mixtape. It's like a series of cassettes of this kind of stuff, and like, it's all brilliant. Like any of those tapes, like I'd be like, put that on vinyl. It sounds fucking great. The Denver metal scene just has like all these like crazy, like interesting surprises. I don't know what is going on up there, but.
Well,
it's that legal weed that these metalheads are getting into.
It must be, yeah. Yep.
They're eating gummies, eating mushrooms. No, but it's sick. That's a sick looking record.
I know Pete saw this, but that thing, was it What's in My Bag? That thing that
Yep.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
The most recent episode was Blood Incantation, and when you watch that, you understand like how they came about making that record. Because they have really eclectic taste in music. It was really.
Yep.
You should check it.
They seem like one of those bands that's going to continue to write new records that are different and challenging. It just seems like that's the kind of thing they're going to do.
Yeah.
Cool.
I saw them a few weeks ago, and I was a little bit disappointed. Like they were good, they were definitely great, but like they just kind of like stuck like to their death metal stuff, and like really sort of played it safe. And I was a little bit let down. I was like, pull out that synth and like, play a 3-hour like space jam, like what I want to see, like. But they were great for sure.
That's a great pick. Yeah. I've got to pick that up. I've got the first couple of albums, but I haven't got that one yet. But I've heard it though. It's so different to but that's a great like left turn that they did. But as I said, if you watch the episode, it's not really a left turn. In fact, really.
No. It makes total sense. Yeah.
It makes sense. Yeah. Nice.
I was cool. I was happy to find the first Eurythmics record. I didn't realize how good that one was.
That's great.
Really?
Because that was one that they talked about, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Great record. It's got like 2 members of Can and Karl-Heinz Stockhausen's son on it. Like it's just bad shit.
No.
Anyway.
All right. Jordan.
All right. Okay. I'm going with the Reds.
Nice.
Whoa.
In a Desperate Red. Came out originally in 1983. This is a reissue I got from Mississippi Records. Mississippi Records has been slowly re-releasing the Rats 3 records. I think they did the first record in like 2008. Then they waited about 4 or 5 years to put the second record, which is probably my favorite of the Rats, though this is a phenomenal record. It's their 3rd record. They broke up a year after this, and then a couple years later, Fred and Tootie Cole then went on to start Dead Moon.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
So it's their
R.I.P.
punk band before Dead Moon.
Okay.
Wow.
So basically, like Fred Cole was like big into psych garage rock in the 60s and 70s. He was in Lollipop Shop, in the Weeds. Well, it was called the Weeds, and then they changed the name to Lollipop Shop. It's a crazy story. They even made a documentary about like this couple's life, basically, of getting stranded in Alaska and then finding themselves like building a house in Portland. And then, they basically heard the Ramones, which kind of hit, I think in the Pacific Northwest around 78. So all these bands started popping up, and that scene and that 78 to 83 range in the Pacific Northwest and Portland with the Wipers and the Rats, and just so many great bands just kind of popped out. And then you got Poison Idea coming out in 83, being influenced by like Black Flag. It's a great, these bands just like, they knew they weren't going to get that popular, but they were playing like really awesome, like kind of like lo-fi punk basically. And this is their 3rd record. All three of the records are phenomenal. But in this record, you start to hear a little bit of the writing that you'd hear with Dead Moon. Start to be kind of pop out in the writing a little bit. And they're getting a little bit more proficient on their instruments as well on this record, because I believe Fred didn't play guitar until he started this band. They basically got influenced by the Ramones, came through, and that's what it says in this booklet. The reissue comes with this booklet that's like a book. I mean, it's insane how big this thing is. It's so bad that it kind of dented my cover because they put it in the cover, but whatever. Lots of interviews, pictures, and flyers and stuff. It's really awesome. It's the only one right now that's still available too. So you can actually order through Dead Moon and Mississippi Records. The other two are out of press. But anyway, Ramones came through in about '78. They were influenced by that, but they don't sound anything like the Ramones from the interviews. And it's just great. It's kind of lo-fi. But it's awesome. It's really good melodies. They trade vocals back and forth just like Dead Moon. It's great. Like I said, I think the second one's my favorite, but this one is a close second. So yeah, you should definitely pick this one up. You guys know the Rats at all?
Totally new to me. I see.
Okay.
Jim, you look not familiar.
I'm not familiar, but Dead Moon and Pierced Arrows I really love. So
yeah.
Yeah.
If you like that, you really like this. I mean, it doesn't sound like
thanks
Dead
for the
Moon.
tip.
It's not
I'm
as
gonna
like
look that up.
depressing. Like I'm on the road dying, and like I drove over. I saw whatever. It's just not as dark sort of country feel of Dead Moon, but it's still like that Pacific Northwest like vibe mixed in with like we're really into New York punk, early punk, so we're gonna play real simple, just melodies, and it's awesome. The one also weird part about this band is every single record they had a different drummer. So that's also like kind of interesting. I guess the first drummer in the first record like committed suicide. I don't know if it had anything to do with the band. And then the second drummer was Sam Henry, who was in the Wipers for a bit too, who just recently passed away.
He passed away recently, right? Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Wow.
So he was in the Wipers and this, and then I think he quit this band to be in Napalm Beach, I believe. And then they got a third drummer, and this is the third drummer. But all like I said, get all three records, though. Even the reissues of the first two records are kind of going for about $40, $50 now. Mm-hmm. This one you can still buy for regular price. So if there's anyone you can find this one, you should get it.
Pete, you familiar?
Because Cyrus is a friend. Mississippi Records is a friend of mine, and saw
it's a great label.
Cool.
Yeah, so amazing.
Pete, you often talked about Mississippi Records to me, right? You're often talking about. I remember you talking about that label quite a bit.
Yeah, one of them came out to Kenya a bunch.
Wow.
And hung out because they were doing recordings out there.
Wow.
So
they have a very eclectic catalog of stuff. I mean, stuff that I don't know anything about, but I'm like, wow, there's obviously some jazz and blues and world music, and then all of a sudden there's like a Dead Moon reissue like mixed in their catalog.
Yep.
The record store is great too. I was on tour a couple of times. I popped into the record store, and I've always found an Enfest record there, and I was like, whoa, all right, I want this Slave record, in 2013 or something. It's a great record store. And they have, it's really an eclectic record label.
Wow. That's a great pick. That's another one. Jim, got it on the list?
Yeah. I mean, I'm taking notes, man. I'm already on page 2. But,
so like, do you like make a list of all the records that?
You know what? I was thinking that like I should have done that, and then like maybe like a week later, because people don't want to know what they are when they watch it, right? They want to find out. But maybe like a month later.
Yeah.
I should have done that because
they're putting us in a tab, and they're looking it up right now.
I have recently bought 3 records that I've seen on this show, or just boxes came in. I got that Heroes comp.
With credit,
I found that Heroes comp, so I got that.
Yes.
I got the Blemish record that Bill had recommended.
Yep.
And
it's awesome.
There's another record that Bill recommended that I can't pronounce their name, but it starts with a Y.
The Finnish
Sorry
band,
State
right?
put it out. What's that?
Yes, that one. I've ordered that too. I'm waiting for it to come.
It came in today. I haven't listened to it yet. So
awesome.
So
awesome.
Yeah, thanks bank account. Thanks guys.
Yeah. There you go.
That's what it's all
but
about.
no, but get the ones that are at cost now. I mean, I'm never afraid of a repress. I'm not. That's just why I don't need $1,000 record. I just want to hear it on my turntable.
Yeah.
Sometimes I actually prefer a repress because some of my older records, they sound like shit. Honestly, so I'm like, I'll get a reissue of like a Negative Approach EP, and I'm like, that's fine. I can play that. It sounds better than my.
Because all those Negative Approach 7 inches are trashed.
Oh, mine sounds like hell.
Played like 9 bazillion times. Yeah.
I think somebody did coke off mine or something. It's all scratched up. And sounds cool,
they're all
but
trashed.
Yeah, Clifford, who's a regular viewer, says we should put a list in the description, like a week or so.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, I'll get on that. I'll do it. I'll watch all of the other episodes back and.
Thanks for your labor, Mike.
And Mike,
pleasure.
You should get a sponsorship. Like you should get like free samples from these labels. Like,
well, I think that'll start trickling in next year.
Yeah.
There you go.
He's got his foot in the door.
All right, Jim, what you got for us, mate?
What do I got next? I know what I got. I got a few extras in case somebody. The Liquids.
Midwest, baby.
Yeah, this is Midwest, Indiana.
Yes, this is right on the corner. It's an hour away from Chicago.
I really like this record a lot. It came out about a year ago, and what I like about it is it's like Carbonas, and with the mandatory Zero Boys connection of being from Indiana. But this record rules, man. This is a great punk record.
There's something about Northwest Indiana. I don't want to interrupt you, but like,
what do they call? What do they call
going
again?
back to Gary?
Liquids.
The Liquids.
Gary,
Liquids.
Yeah, Liquids. Here's the back cover.
They're very garage rocky, but like, they put out 5 records.
Kind of grows,
so much stuff.
As it plays, it grows.
And they're great live too. They play for like 20 minutes, and it's just like they don't stop. It's just hook song after hook song. It's
20
awesome.
minutes, leave you wanting more, right? Don't go too long. And I live by that. But this album kicks butt, man. If you like Carbonas, I love Carbonas.
I love Carbonas.
Gigi King, I love Gigi King, but this is there, man, and it creeps up on me, and I want to listen to it when I'm at work or something, doing something. I throw it on, and
those guys can write some hooks.
Yeah, I mean, it's although I've compared it to others, it stands on its own. It they're not trying to be something. They're doing what they like, and you can tell that's what they were doing. And yeah, it's got a lo-fi kind of moments at times, where you think your tweeters are gonna implode.
I mean, they're a basement garage bands basically, but they can nail it. I actually haven't heard that record yet. I have some of their older records, but
they have older records.
Came out, everybody around me is like, get that record.
This is my first exposure, but but it got me. I was just like, okay, I like this. I was listening to it online. I said, I need to have this on vinyl, and so I pursued it. But it creeps up every couple of weeks on me, and I throw it back on. And same with Carbonas. I always throw the Carbonas back on. But
I almost thought about putting a Carbonas because they have a discography of their EPs, double LP. The Ghana put out a few years ago. The red one, yeah.
It's really good.
I've listened to that so much because I love their EPs. I played a lot of shows with those guys and partied with those guys, and what a great band. One of the guys was peeing on Western Avenue in Chicago, and a cop came by, and I had to pull him back into the club with his dick hanging out and peeing probably on my shoes. Played good though.
That's a wet willy. That's what they call a wet willy.
Man, that's another new one for me. That's another thing going on the old list there.
Yeah, shoes damaged. But it's something. It's an enjoyable record. It really is.
Nice.
And that stressed out looking woman on there. Is she in the band? No.
That is a little bit of a
No.
interesting cover.
Yeah.
Do you
I don't know
anything
what the
about that,
cover
John?
is because a lot of their records have like
Right.
just crude drawings,
know.
very much like the back.
Come on,
Like
man.
the back cover is more like
party picture. Like
that looks like somebody at a basement show in Chicago.
Haggard party time, man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'll see you at noon. See you later.
Nice. All right, my next pick is a new record, come out this year. It looks like a kind of Japanese nationalist skinhead record,
Wow.
but it isn't.
Oh,
Good.
You want to take a guess?
Tojo Boys.
From Sweden, Swedish band on Cimex Records or Cymex Records.
Oh.
Charlie from Anti-Cimex put it out.
Yeah, I have it. I have that.
Warhawk.
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 Like, that's
Pray
a good
for
record.
War. It's the name of the record. They call
does look a little
themselves Stealth
sketchy.
Rock and Roll from Sweden. That's what they call themselves. But it's Motorhead. Just
Yeah, it's
Motorhead
Motorhead.
worship. But like, I would say like pre-Ace of Spades Motorhead. We're looking at like Overkill and Bomber. I thought so. Like, honestly, I got this yesterday. I only played it once last night.
Wow.
But Motorhead worship. There's that White
Absolutely.
Spade record that came out too, which is basically
White
Midnight
Spade too,
under a different name, also a dodgy name. This looks like a Japanese nationalist skinhead record. I don't know what's going on, but like, I would say this is the better record. I think they do the same kind of style, but I think they do it better than White Spade, I would say. Jim, what are you into this record?
I like it. I just got it too. I've only listened to it a couple times.
Yeah,
But I was also comparing it to White Spade because of the
exactly.
it's within the last several weeks. You know?
Right. There's even one song on the B-side that even sounds like Midnight, actually, more than White Spade on this record.
I
There's
love
one song,
Midnight.
it totally sounds like the way Jamie sings. So yeah,
Yes.
and Motorhead worship done by a bunch of young Swedish dudes. The vocalist is in that band Bestial Mockery. Does anybody know that band?
No.
He's in a band called Rawhide. I don't know anything about the band. That's all I know is the vocalist Robert Hansen is in Bestial Mockery. Might be a death metal band. I'm not sure. But just straight up 70s, late 70s Motorhead worship. But good time for this record.
Yeah, definitely.
Good stuff. But there's one.
Down
I'm going to mention this
years
band now because I probably won't show this record in another episode. But they got Warhawk and White Spade. There's a British band who do this style perfectly called Asomvel. I might show that another time because for Motorhead worship, they are the absolute kings of like the late 70s, early Motorhead worship. But that's for another time. But for today I'm going to show them. Warhawk. Pray for War. There you go. Just out this year, right? Come out this year.
It's last several weeks, actually.
Really, it's kind of new, right? It's brand new, right?
I haven't seen it around yet.
I think it only came to like one record store in Osaka, which was like
I mail ordered it.
Jackie from Frampton got about 5 copies.
Well, Jim, where'd you mail order from?
From Cymex Records from Charlie Direct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, but it wasn't that expensive, you know.
It was actually really cheap, Jim. It was like it was like pre-COVID, kind of like 2,600 yen kind of prices.
It wasn't 14
like,
colors or anything in splatter?
Mine isn't.
No.
I don't know if there is. Mine's just
But-
the black one.
But you know, these days with postage, it's like the record's like
It's $20, but it's like $30.
it's $20 for postage.
Yeah.
From
But
Canada.
Yeah. All right, Pete. 4th turn around, right?
So I live in Michigan, and I live in Ann Arbor, just 30 minutes from Detroit, and I've been here most of my life, but have never sufficiently explored like what's gone on in Detroit, specifically in the electronic scene there, just because it's just a different world from anything I knew. But recently I've started digging into some of the the deep sort of Detroit electronic music, and I found this band Drexciya. they were a duo of dudes from Detroit, and they were active in like the early 90s through the late 90s, and they like wore masks. They tried to keep their identity secret, and they claimed that they were from a race of people descended from like pregnant women would get thrown overboard on the slave ships coming from Africa to the States. And so these babies would be born underwater and like be able to breathe water. And like, so they claimed that they were like, you know, from this like, you know, race of people, and did like this really sort of like, you know, next level, like techno from, you know, back in the 90s. And it's completely psychedelic. It's completely weird. Like, you know, they probably like pulled these synthesizers out of dumpsters, but like did like all this amazing stuff with it. And this is on the Tresor label, which is a German label. It does like electronic and techno music out of Berlin. And I don't know, I've been listening to this pretty much constantly for the past couple weeks, because it's a really amazing record. Unfortunately, one of them died. What's that?
Are they still around?
One of them died, had a heart attack in 2003, and the other guy in the band is still active, like a local weirdo. Like people are like, you got to meet that guy. He's like out there. Like, so I'm trying to track him down. I'd really like to hang out with that dude. But yeah, that like Tresor is reissuing all of their stuff. Like, you know, they have like 3 or 4 LPs from the 90s, and they're finally, you know, remastering and put them out again. Yeah.
Did you find that in the wild recently?
What's that?
You found it out in a record store out there in Detroit?
Yeah, it's a reissue.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and they Tresor just reissued these this year. Yeah, I was pretty excited to see it. A friend of mine had been talking him up to me for a long time. He's like, "Oh, you got to check him out." And I was like, brought it home, and it's like, "Whoa, this is crazy!" Like, you know,
well, just even the concept is wild.
Yeah,
I know, really right?
Wild.
Yeah, that's a great, you know.
Totally.
Wow.
Yeah. The titles are great. Like Dr. Blowfin's Black Storm Stabilizing Spheres. That's one title. Song of the Green Whale. Mission to Osea Sindor and Back. Undersea Disturbances. Like all their songs are like sea themed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Now there's a the Siberian meat grinder. There's like this whole premise.
Yeah.
Yes. Everything.
Right? But that premise seems a little bit like a kind of a shtick, though, right? And this
maybe, but this is steeped in. That's deeper.
That's some serious shit.
That's a little deeper.
Yeah.
That is not Russian party grind.
No, that is like it's intriguing. That's the word. Interesting would be insulting to say. That's intriguing.
Yeah.
Nice
pick of words. Nice choice of words. Yeah. Cool. Wow, you're knocking it out of the park. Everyone always knocks out of the park every week. Every week, there's just so much great stuff.
Drexciya is what it's called. Clifford is asking in the chat. They're called
Drexciya.
Yeah.
Drexciya is the name of the band.
Yes. Could you spell it? I can't read that.
Drexciya. Drexciya.
That just
I always
sounds
feel it. I always feel like there's a...
What's that?
God damn it. I always feel like there's like a good segue, but I don't think this is a good segue.
My next segue is the worst. Even worse.
Naked
hippie.
Naked hippie. Wow.
None staring at the naked man. Naked hippie. From Normal, Illinois. A kind of hardcore gem, but it's basically made by teenagers, so it's stupid US hardcore from 1989. There's not a lot known about this band. Matter of fact, Brandon from Direct Control, rest in peace, used to always give me a hard time because he knew I was from Illinois, so he's like, always wanted to know if I knew any more information about this band, because he was infatuated with this band, because it's kind of perfect, juvenile, stupid US hardcore. They have songs like "Fucked in the Head," "TV Set," "Fast Food Pig Out." Yeah, so there's no pretense of intelligence in this at all. Well, the
What year
guitar
is
player
it?
went on to be in a band that kind of got a little bit of pub in Chicago called Negative Element, but I think the rest of these guys just didn't. Nothing else came about it. They have a band camp where one of the members writes in all caps about how like people were cheated out of credit on the record. I don't know. It's awesome. It's furious, fast, good U.S. hardcore. Guys that were listening to like Minor Threat and Black Flag but couldn't play either one of them, but still rip through it and play it awesome. It's great. Naked Hippy. It's not even that expensive a record. It's just kind of hard to find. Like Discogs had like one of them, but someone was selling it for like $20 because it's like it's not one of those like crazy U.S. hardcore records that people are looking for.
Mm-mm.
But when you find it, you will play it a lot because it is a good record. So anyway, Naked Hippy, but not intelligent at all. It's really fun. You put it on, you just like, wow, this sounds like right out of '81, but it's from '89. It just
89.
sounds juvenile, fast, thrashing U.S. hardcore, and it's awesome. So
I've heard of that record. I've never heard it though.
I've never
Look in the 100-year bin next week.
Naked Hippy, but I've never heard that.
And Normal, Illinois sucks. It's like 2 hours like south of Chicago. It's like a college town. I mean, these kids probably didn't have anything going on. This is what they lived for a couple of years, and they just put out this record. They put it out themselves, I believe, because this record label only put out one record, Smile or Die Records. But it's really good. It's really good.
Nice. All right. Thanks, Jordan.
No
All right, Jim.
Okay, this is also hot off the press. As far as I know, it's a band from Denmark, and they're called. This is their second EP, Tyrant.
Oh, yeah.
Tyrant.
And I really, really like the first EP. It came out like I want to say 2 or 3 years ago, and but this is really high quality hardcore. I would say hardcore more than oi, you know. But god damn, this is a powerful record. So was their first one. And I don't know, maybe the pandemic held them up in personal reasons or whatever, but they decided to regenerate. And I mean, literally, I just got this in the mail this week too, so I was like super psyched to get it. You can hear this online, but Danish band. There's like this whole neo oi of more quality bands than even the original oi. It's like wow, but in the last several years or even decade or so, but especially from Europe, there's some American ones, but
I think there's an American in that band too, or it used to be.
Will Kinser's in this band.
Yeah,
but
The art looks amazing.
Here's the back cover. It's them. But
Nice. We talking
I've been curious about that band.
Mid-paced stompers here.
Yeah, but nothing too super fast. A lot of great hooks, and let's say what would be a good word for this? It resonates. Yeah, but it's tough, and it's quality, and it's not taunty or juvenile at all. It sounds committed, grown men playing hard, great music.
Nice. Man, like last night I finished work, end of the week. Hey, yeah, it's me. Went into Disc Union Records in Umeda, and I found something. And I brought it home, and I was wrestling with myself last night. Not literally, but mentally. Like,
I was trying to
like,
picture that.
I'm doing the show tomorrow. Like, should I show this? It's like, because it's what I was listening to last night. And it's the total opposite of what we were talking about. It's like the stuff that we didn't get or didn't like when we were young, but now we're older, we're into it, right? This is the opposite of that. It's a band that everyone knows. I've loved them since I was like 11 years old. And I was like, fuck it, I'm going to show it. It's what I was listening to last night. I had a bunch of beers. It was making me happy. So I was like, you know, I'm talking about, and it's CDs. It's a CD box set. How about that?
Holy shit! Wow, I remember that. I remember that.
All right, this is the Led Zeppelin.
Who are they? Where are they from?
I don't know. Dubai?
I
don't know.
I heard of them.
It's this thing that came out in Japan in like 1990. This was like 10,000 yen when it came out. Like, it's got and it's complete. I looked it up on Discogs. I was like, wow, this was 350 yen. Not that this shows
for
about
the
like price for the whole thing. Yeah, this unit.
Wow.
So that's.
I don't know how much that is. How much
it's
is
like
that?
$3 bucks.
Like $350.
But I looked it
now
up on the Discogs side. I remember seeing this like years ago, and it used to be like 4,000 or 5,000 yen. I was like,
okay.
There's a vinyl version of it too. This is the CD version, like 4 CDs. It's the greatest hits, but I think at the time, that's like 5 or 6 never before released songs on it, and it's been like tinkered with by Jimmy Page. But it goes for a bit of money on Discogs. But like, it's got everything. It's complete. So you've got the Obi, you've got the box, you've got like the booklet with all the photos and everything.
That's awesome.
Huge booklet, and you've got 2 because it's like you've got the Japanese version. It's the same, but it's like all the liner notes are in Japanese. But it's so you got two booklets. You get it's got the postcards in there, still complete. Nobody's written a postcard to anyone with John Paul Jones on them. Hey, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna
send us a postcard.
Yeah. Like,
Somebody's saying they're not as good as Wings.
Yeah.
They're way better than Wings.
Yeah.
Anything's better than Wings.
And then it's like, I don't know why, but it has this like extra little box that comes in there. In case you don't like the big box, you can like put the CDs into the little box.
Take it in the car.
Another one.
And throw the other thing away. Yeah.
It's for your Sunday drive.
I remember when that came out.
Right.
Yeah,
it was kind of a big deal at the time.
It was a huge deal. And
right?
like you couldn't get it. Like I mean, like they were sold before they even hit the stores. Like
my brother has that.
This one? There's like an American version too, right? With no
CD. He has the CDs one, yeah.
But the CDs have like not very good cover art on them. The individual cover art.
They don't use the original cover art?
No, it's weird. Like not very good at all. Like just like kind of looks like a 4AD band, like the I don't know, Copto Twins. I don't know. It's like very just very nondescript. Yeah. You know, I was like, why am I wrestling with myself? I'm listening to it. I've loved this band since I was 12 years old. I'm not recommending anything new, but
are there any like outtakes or like rarities?
Yeah, a little bit. There's some. When this came out, there's a few tracks that had never been released before. I think that was why it was a big deal. I think at the time. So yeah. So there you go. A 4 CD box set of Led Zeppelin.
That's awesome.
For the price of a die bean.
There you go. There you go. 350 yen, man. What's going on in the world? You know.
Tell Matt.
Yeah. That's a lot of paper.
A lot of paper. I actually had a standby in case everyone kind of like put their thumbs down, so I'll save my standby until for the next episode.
I think we were pretty non-judgmental about it.
Oh man, you wouldn't believe it, like the amount of shit I get for like liking.
Well, no, man, like or go a step before it. Like, what about the Yardbirds? I think the Yardbirds are fucking awesome, man.
Yeah.
I could listen to the Yardbirds all the time.
I'll listen to Van Halen every once in a while. I mean, people have stuff that they grew up with. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
But the thing is interesting to me is like how
like an impression.
All that stuff like Van Halen, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd sounds as good as to me today as it did like when in 1980. I still love it. I love it all.
No,
Yeah. It's been like, this is a real cliche. It's a terrible cliche, but that soundtrack to your life kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's just, it's like a war. It's like a, I had a good time with this last night. I had a good time.
I mean, I remember the first time I heard AC/DC, I was a young child. I heard it. I was like, this is like some fucked up outsider shit in my mind.
Yeah.
And I was like blown away. And then, you can be, my kids will make fun of me if I listen to AC/DC, but,
Yeah, but those records are still fucked up outsider shit.
They are.
Still.
They're great.
Yeah.
In the late 70s.
And Led Zeppelin were like sexy, funky men, like fucking getting down, like playing some fucking rock and roll.
So Brian's followed up his Not As Good As Wings with his I'm bringing out the Boston self-titled when I'm coming.
He's got guilty pleasures.
Yeah.
More than a feeling.
Okay, let's go around. Pete, give us a little tinkle on the synth before you launch into. We need a little bit of a beer drinking. Give us a little.
Yeah. 0:00 international time.
I sort of debated whether I should do this or not, but I'm going to do it anyway because I actually am listening.
That's the thing. Before you show it, we were talking about this, like the overthinking. It's like, whoa, what should I? But just exactly. You should show it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I mean,
it is hard.
A little bit of
you do overthink a little bit.
You do.
Yeah.
You do.
I mean, there's a little bit of conflict of interest with this, like because I put this record out, but I recently I've been listening to it a lot and loving it more and more and more. This is Grandmaster Masese. He was a friend of mine from Kenya, and he plays this giant instrument. And he was like this fantastic, wonderful human being, who like was just all stoked about music and was like into like this weird, obscure music. Like it's just like the weirdest. Like it's like this bass heavy buzzing sound that you're supposed to play next to waterfalls. Like it's an accompaniment to the sound of waterfalls. Like that's what this music's like. It's like really weird. And I had him record some tunes in Nairobi, and he sent them to me over, the internet, or the studio guy did. And then I enlisted, some people I know to put like, synth tracks and percussion tracks and all kinds of stuff. Like Kunal Prakash from Jeff the Brotherhood is on this. Sam Bennett, who I think played in Curlew from New York, he's on this. And my friend Dave and my friend Mike List, who I both play in bands with here, are both on it. And it came out so weird and cool that I was like afraid that when I sent the recordings to Masese, like he would be like, fuck this is crazy, I don't like this. But opposite happened. He was like, man, this is so weird, I love it, I love this. And I was like, thank God. Unfortunately, he passed away this past June, which makes sort of like keep going back through this. Like I really miss the guy. And so I put the record on. I think about like, what a great guy that was, he was, and how we were so fortunate to be able to put this record out, before like he passed, unfortunately. And yeah, so I'm listening to this.
Pete, let's just take a few minutes to kind of explain like the instrument that the Grandmaster's playing there to everyone watching.
It's called an obokano, and only about 10 people in the world play it now. It's like really obscure, and it's like super bass heavy and has like this buzzing sound that goes over it. So it sounds like, if there was like you had like a big subwoofer and then like banged on a hornet's nest or something. It's kind of like sounds like that.
Whoa.
It's pretty fucked up, like pretty amazing and fucked up, And when I was over there hearing it, I was like, man, I really want to do a record with this guy.
Is there any like teacher pupil stuff going on with like an instrument? I mean, if you only have 10 people that play the instrument, like, is there some sort of like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I mean, how do you keep a tradition of an instrument that only 10 people play?
Pete has a kind of amazing story about that, right? About like
so like he like before he died, like I was like, hey man, let's do a book. And he's like, okay.
Wow.
And so he went out and interviewed all these like guys that are like in their 90s, and one guy is like 105 or whatever. I mean, these are old guys. And like this, like the music is like totally like on the way out. And now, Masese is gone. He was really the only guy playing this live, like for people, around the world. And, so to answer your question, like it's just so like, there's so few people that do it now that there's like this kind of is like going to be hard to pass on. He was like really the only young guy, that's really trying to keep it going. So
I
Yeah.
find the story akin to like the guys who were going and recording the Bluesmen back in the 30s and
Mhm.
20s. Like that's what I'm impressed with here. It's that you sought out a guy and tried to get his story known and find out who he is and what he's doing. I think that's culturally important, and I respect that.
Thanks, man.
Well, Pete,
Yeah, and he was just an amazing dude. What? Go ahead.
I was going to just sort of say that Pete's not mentioned this yet, but he had a similar situation. You had your Nyatiti teacher, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Do you want to bring out the Nyatiti? It's adjacent to that instrument, and so it's the same thing. Pete was taught the Nyatiti by an older guy.
Yeah, so I studied this instrument for 3 years in Kenya under like one of the last, or actually the last elder Nyatiti player, because people are just passing on, unfortunately. And it was a cool experience. Like it was so cool to like learn this obscure music from this old guy in Nairobi who couldn't speak English, and my Swahili is terrible. And somehow communicated this.
Better than us.
Yeah, mine's not.
Did you just pick up Swahili when you're there for a few minutes?
What's that?
I said you didn't just pick up Swahili when you're over there for a little bit.
It's like if you speak English, just never.
Yeah, for sure.
Doesn't happen.
It's
That's
a
cool though,
thing.
man. That's something. I shouted in basements and like with the most repetitive music of all time, basically. That to play something that people don't play.
That's
all these music traditions. I think are like I think they're like I don't put one over another.
No, you can't.
Like, for sure.
Hardcore is as deep as any other.
Sure, Naked Hippy.
They make it hippie, right? Normal Illinois.
I mean, somebody has to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, yeah. So
Cool, man.
That record's still in print, right?
Still in print. It's important to not forget anything.
Yeah.
And,
totally. Yeah.
I agree.
Okay, Jordan, follow that.
All right. Well, I mean, I have been listening to this record a lot, and I kind of had the same thing that Mike said about feeling a little hesitant to bring a record. I mean, in like this, because a lot of people don't consider this their best record either, but I really love this record. 13 Floor Elevators.
Wow.
Bull of the Woods. Usually most people like the first record, which I do too. It's amazing. But I'm a huge 13 Floor Elevators fan, and some of my favorite songs are on this record. And recently I've just been listening to this record a lot. It's a little bit kind of a depressing record because Rocky Erickson only plays on 4 of the 11 songs on this record because he was having a psychological breakdown while they were trying to get this record done. They were having a bunch of legal disputes with the record label, so the band was having a lot of issues. Members were quitting. There was a lot of things going on with the production of this record, but it's kind of like a little gem. I mean, there's really Scarlet and Gold and Dr. Doom on the second side are 2 of my favorite songs by 13 Floor Elevators. And it's just a really great record. It's kind of a little bit depressing in comparison to the early stuff, which, is like, I mean, the early stuff's amazing. I mean, You're Gonna Miss Me is probably one of my favorite American, rock songs of all time. And there's nothing on here that kind of equals that, but at the same time, it's just a really great record. The guitar player keeps it together, Stacey Sutherland. He sings on a lot of the songs and plays guitar and basically took over writing a lot of the music after Rocky was in a mental institution, getting shock therapy done because of his schizophrenia, and basically was like forced to quit the band basically. And the band just all blew up, but kept it together to make this one record. And it's just, I don't know, I think it's a great American rock record that kind of gets forgotten. So anyway,
that's, I've only ever heard or owned that one, the classic record. That one, what it's called.
The psychedelic sounds.
Yeah, that one. I haven't really. I don't know why I've never checked anything else out. Right.
Same.
So yeah.
Yeah, there's some great harmonies, some great songwriting. They really pull it together. The Rocky songs are great. Yeah, it's just a really great record. But it's kind of sad too.
No.
Oh.
Wow,
Jim, I don't know about you, but I'm in my mental notebook. In my mental notebook, I'm on page 4 already. It's like...
Yeah, I know. I'm getting my scoop.
I'm actually, all right, Jim, last pick, man. What you got for us?
I'm writing an expose. Record nerds expose all. All right, it's my turn.
Yeah, your last pick, mate.
This is the final round?
Yeah.
All right, this is a re-release from a band from Switzerland. And you might have heard them on like some Killed by Deaths or Bloodstain type of compilations. But anytime I heard them on there, I could never afford the original records, but I always enjoyed how they wrote songs. And they're called Jack and the Rippers. And this is out on the Puke and Vomit label out of Los Angeles, co-released with Dirty Faces from Germany. It's here in the States, but like the songwriting, when you say Killed by Death, people kind of go, yeah, that, lo-fi 77, blah blah blah. But I think they're kind of akin to like the Adverts or the Scientists from Australia. But I think I just their pop hooks are really catchy, and this is really good quality stuff. I needed to have everything it is. I mean, it comes out. They even do a John Lennon cover on it, "Cold Turkey," but which is not a standout. But I guess their most known song is "No Desire." But this is a band that deserves a second listen if you haven't checked them out.
You said Punk and Vomit put that one out?
Puke and Vomit.
Puke and Vomit.
Puke and Vomit.
Puke and Vomit.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I meant too many beers.
Yeah, that's
they're doing a crazy amount of reissues.
Puke and Vomit. Yeah.
They're doing a crazy amount of reissues, though. That's
yeah, they do. I don't know how they do it. What's their secret? But
I don't know.
I've heard a few
love
things.
this old boombox here. I love the graphics on this.
Aren't they connected with Radiation Records, the store?
Huh?
Aren't they connected with Radiation Records, the store? Isn't Puke and Vomit?
That's the store, not the Italian label.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Because I heard some.
Yeah, because Radiation Rec is also doing a lot of reissues.
They are, yeah.
Right now. But Punk and Vomit has also done a lot of crazy reissues that are like they're awesome, but it's also like what the hell? It's just like a ton coming out, but I didn't, didn't seem to be a lot of Killed by Death stuff. It seemed more like a lot of English stuff and
the UK like 82 stuff.
Yeah, the UK.
Yeah, that the Italian one.
No, the Punk,
the LA one. Yeah, but they're also doing like a lot of New York hardcore now. I think I brought something up the last time I was on.
Oh, okay.
But also a lot of European stuff. They don't see in a lot of LA stuff. Like I think the last time I mentioned the Undertakers, or like an old East LA band that never got their due. I mentioned that the last time.
I want to get that record too. Yeah,
it's really good. I really enjoy that one. And I mentioned it the last time I was on. But it's just great that stuff is coming up and out.
No, for sure, it's awesome.
Out to digest,
Yeah. Now, if someone could just get the Stains record put out too, as well.
Well, was it? There was something I was reading. Luckily, I bought that record in a cutout bin back in the 80s. Been there, just old enough to be around and not even knowing that someday there would be that controversy about, or whatever it is about that record. It's a great record. And
it's such a good record.
Band. Yeah, I love that.
That's the big record in U.S. where everybody's trying to scramble around for right now, because secret batch just popped out and just hit distros and sold out in a day in the U.S.
That's
what I heard. And the band right away said, we have nothing to do with this. This wasn't repressed. So the whole theory is that maybe there is a lost batch, that SST, because someone said that Greg Ginn isn't a very trustful person. So, so we don't know, but we got,
a
bunch of us. Yeah. So we're all kind of scrambling around trying to find it if we can,
but like I said, I was lucky enough to find that in a cutout bin. I want to say like 1986 or 87, and I still have my copy. And some people are like, "Oh my god, that thing's worth so much money." I'm like, "Why?" It's a good record, but but then I heard the story in recent years about pressing and all that stuff, and or there was some controversy.
The kind of suppression of the record or something for
repressing of the record is what I heard. Yeah.
Then the band had some issue with SST as well. I mean, sounds like a complete shit show. It sounds like the band should just have the pressing, but I think even within the band, they wouldn't agree to even press it if it happened. I don't even know. It's all rumor based, so who fucking knows? But it is cool that Punk and.
But at the end of the day, it's a solid killer fucking record.
Yeah, it is cool that some of these records because I've heard of that band and I don't know if I would check it out, but if it gets reissued on a label that's putting out a bunch of other stuff, then I would check it out, So it is cool.
Something about it attracted them to it.
All right. It falls on me to finish up today's proceedings. I think it's quite a good choice, I think, to finish up with. Another new record, Portland Crust Band. They put out three or four singles. This is their debut LP. Came out on Blackwater this year. Anybody know what I'm talking about? It's the Rigorous Institution.
Oh, I saw that in the store.
Which is kind of interesting looking record. Kind of sounds like a private press black metal record or something. But it's like old school Crust in the UK style, like Deviated Instinct. Very early Amoebics.
Stenchy.
Yeah. The singer sounds like the Baron from Amoebics, and it's mostly slow to mid-paced, very atmospheric. And they've got keyboards like swirling around in the mix there. The album's called Cain's Marsh. I looked it up. Nothing came up except this record, so I don't know what Cain's Marsh actually is. But I don't know. I guess these guys were in kind of more straightforward hardcore bands before, but they've got like this kind of insert with the imp on synth.
From what I understand, they're punk guys that are playing that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it does kind of sound a little bit like Dark Throne mixed with Amoebics. And apparently, according to my sources, when they play live, there are cloaks involved. Yeah.
I think there's some makeup involved too.
Makeup and cloaks.
Very theatrical.
Things.
At least for the singer.
That's exactly. And like maybe some things, some props, and like disappointingly small keyboards. You know what I mean?
Small keyboards.
So I love this record, but a couple of friends of mine said that they saw them live and it kind of ruined the atmosphere of this record for them. I can't say that because I've never seen them.
I've heard the opposite. So that's
really? Okay, that's interesting.
I had a friend that saw them and said they were great. So I don't know.
There you go.
And I've heard a lot of good stuff about that record. I listened to it online, and I honestly don't like listening to stuff online that much. It doesn't translate to me as well. and I listened to it. It didn't quite move me just yet, but I have a lot of friends that are really into like metal that love that record. So, and then I saw some like video of the singer, and it seemed a little theatrical, but it seemed good. I mean,
it's kind of like almost they've got their own thing going on. It's like theatrical.
They're mixing
theatrical crust.
Yeah.
What's it called again?
The band is called Rigorous Institution. It's the name of the band.
Rigorous Institutions, like plural.
Yeah, just one institution.
One institution.
Oh, one institution. Oh,
but
Rigorous
squished down to
institution.
like blood incantation, so you can't actually read it.
That exactly.
And
So,
the
you know,
art
just the
doesn't
whole-
compare to what you showed us.
The whole vibe of the record is something kind of not new, but it's like not your typical kind of crust-looking record. Kind of interesting.
It's kind of atmospheric too, isn't it?
It is atmospheric with those keyboards, and
Yeah.
I
It's
don't
kind of
think,
like you're underwater or something.
That's it. Yeah, it's really murky, and it's mostly slow to mid-pace, but occasionally they break into a fast part, and I don't like that. I think
You like that more.
I think it works better when they keep it in the mid to slow paced. The mid to slow paced songs are better. I think it works better.
And the Meebix is more the music, and Dark Throne more the vocal. I would say, right? Would you say the same thing?
Something like
Okay.
that. Yeah. So it's
That's kind of what I felt too, a little bit.
yeah. And people, I could say deviated instinct, but really it's not like that. It's just easy to say it's like 80s UK crust. Obviously that influence is there, but they're kind of doing something new.
I just remember that term stench before I ever heard crust.
Stench core.
Stench.
I think
Before I
they're
ever
probably
heard
one.
crust.
They're probably one of those bands when they play a specific show and the atmosphere is just right. You know, it clicks with an audience, and then but if they're on tour, that might be only half the shows or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's some places you just can't pull it off.
Left
as
the
well.
cloak in the
And
hotel
other
room.
places
Like,
where
tiny
where
keyboard
the
is
cloak
tinier.
works.
Oh man, that's like trio.
Okay, guys, another great episode. God, I've got like so many good recommendations. I hope everyone watching's got some good recommendations. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Thanks, Jim, for coming on again.
Got my notes.
Jim's got his notes. Give Jim a call if you want
Yeah,
to
upload those notes.
Meet you.
Yes.
I hope
Take a picture of the notes, upload the notes. Thanks, Jordan, for coming on.
Thanks.
Great
It was fun.
picks. Thanks, Pete. It's good to see you again, man.
Yeah.
We'll do it
Awesome.
again.
Great to meet y'all.
Yeah, it'd be great.
We'll do it again. Not next week, but
No.
not next. No, not
In about
next,
2 hours.
Next year. Next year.
I got a bar mitzvah.
I got Naked Hippy.
So I think
Naked
what we're going
hippie.
to do, I won't do my usual outro. I think today we'll have Dr. Larson play us out with a spooky ending theme, and we'll fade into the background, just like,
But not a MIDI keyboard.
just like the Pixies on this Rigorous Institution album. So thanks, tuning in. That's that was not a wild thing. Sing it at home. You know the words now.